Okay. Okay, guys, we're live now on YouTube. Good morning from San Diego. My name is Anicio Razin. This is Easter Sunday, and we are gonna have, as always, our Sunday spiritual meeting. Still doing it, uh, just online, right? But we have good news. We have now many members of our community already got their shots, so they're vaccinated, and we hope that soon we should be able to kind of come back to some sort of normalcy in terms of the things we do in our community, right? So thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing that um, we have had the resources as a community, as a planet, to deal with the pandemic. Oh no, it's still going on, and it may still be a challenge for a while until the whole planet uh, uh, deals with this. But we have the resources, at least, right? Let's see if we can share them appropriately. But in the technology to in less than a year develop some sort of treatment and vaccination and vaccines to deal with this threat. So I don't, despite the challenges, we should celebrate that as well as a community, right? And what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about spirituality, right? Talk a little bit about inspired by the gospel, inspired by the teachings of Jesus, with the additional informations we got from the observations already enlightened by science and by the greater understanding that we have about the natural world in the past 2 centuries. And with that in mind, let me get our music going, and hopefully you guys can hear quiet music in the background. And Renato, if you're ready to say a few words to get our opening prayer.
Divine Creator, on this very special day that we celebrate the resurrection of your Son, Jesus Christ, we just feel our souls full of gratitude for his atoning sacrifice that he has done for us, for our benefit, for us to learn about the way to come back to your presence. Our words are not sufficient enough to express the gratitude for all the blessings that this event brought to all humankind. The example, the teachings, and we feel like these events come to us like a shower of faith, of hope, to keep our spirits with the enough nourishment of energy to continue on in our lives. We thank you, Lord, for all these treatments and vaccinations that they're still in process for all humankind. And all we can say is that it's another way of you showing us your love and that you take care of us. We thank you so much, Lord, for all the rest of the blessings we encounter every single day of our lives, for the opportunity that you give us to be on this planet trying to become a little bit better. Give us the strength and courage necessary to continue on in this path, and for the opportunity that you give us to be together in unity and spiritually to help others, whether in the physical or the spiritual realm. Thank you so much, Lord, for all these blessings. And I say these things in the most holy name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Renato, for the words, for the energy. And, and we're going to be, I mean, as always, we always talk about a chapter of the gospel according to Spiritism, but today it came a discussion about the prophets, right? So Easter, on the Easter Sunday, right? And where we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. But for us, in a sense, it's just the separation of the body that for Jesus was a magical moment in the sense that this incredibly higher being that's hard to talk about. Um, in fact, uh, the clear understanding of Jesus as his contribution to our lives and what he's done to us, I think will only be possible once we fully understand the spiritual realm. Once we, as a community, understand and becomes a reality for us that life never ends, and that the passages through the flesh are just experiences that we go through, but fundamentally the essence of human beings are the soul or spirit or whatever name science eventually comes up with, that keeps living. Once we understand that, we'll be able to appreciate, um, to have a glimpse of what how much Jesus has the Christ has done to us. It's not just that life of him, but what he has done to us as a community, as a planet, and that's will come in the future. Not nearby though. I think it will take a while. But and his life as an example is just part of it, of something that's much bigger. And his awakening to the spiritual realm is something that we believe is going to happen to all of us. So all of us, once our bodies stop functioning, once our biology cannot sustain organic life anymore, uh, well, our spirits will raise and we will free ourselves from our body. It happens to all. It will happen to all of us, and life will keep living, keep happening. And that's what we talk about here. So what, right? So for the vast majority of people, that is it's a taboo. Is something we don't talk about. Actually, this is a worst thing you can do in a party is just bring the subject. Although is the thing that we know for sure is going to happen. So everybody knows. Everybody in their neighbor um, know that we're going to die. As part of the biological process. We know that we have bodies that eventually will stop functioning, no matter how strong or how young we are today. But we don't talk about that. So we don't, we even religious people sometimes we have some models, but all religions have a little bit of a model for that. In spiritual, all spiritual movements do the same. Right. So what we do in Spiritism, we approach that as in a simple process of simply the same mind, the same you still you don't lose your individuality, you don't lose who you are not the body, you are a consciousness. So in what your brain does is manifesting that consciousness right in your body. So you continue. That's the whole perspective, the whole experiment, and all the observations we have made, and this a whole movement, the spiritualist movement, actually the Spiritist movement, brings about is exactly that awareness, the simple continuation of life, right? And we continue as we are, who we are. We don't change, right? So in that sense, we're talking today a little bit about we're having as inspiration for today's talk is a little bit of it's chapter 21 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, where Kardec discusses the warnings that Jesus gave us, and the prophets gave us, about the false prophets, about the false Christ and false prophets, and the missions of the prophets, and that are to come. And this was, of course, done 2,000 years ago. But we have right now the notion of prophet. We have to talk a little bit about that, because I think it changed quite a bit, and especially at this moment in time we're living right now. But I think you all agree with me that anything you're doing, if you're going to do something, and you have next to you someone that's experienced, someone that know what they're doing, right? It's amazing. Like if you're going to cook and you have a great cook next to you and you're helping and doing it, isn't it amazing? And that's true for anything you do in life. You want to play an instrument, if you're going to play video game, I don't know, anything you do in life, if you have someone with you that's much more experienced, much more knowledgeable on whatever you're doing, it makes the work a lot easier, right? Hopefully we learn from that experience, and it's a blessing in any situation to have someone more experienced, right? So it's natural for us to look for someone, to follow someone, and in spirituality is no different. It has been around pretty strong. Of course, we have ultimately what Jesus did to us in terms of modeling life, right? But the problem is, not everybody's like Jesus, right? In fact, he was and he's unique in our understanding. But a lot of people, when they are begin their journey of spirituality, they find someone that they connect. They try to find someone, and in a sense, then follow that person as a recipe we have followed for thousands of years, which is the same logic we follow in our own lives. We try to follow somebody that has, in theory, more experience. The problem is with spirituality is that it's hard to measure the experience or the depth or the awareness of someone we're following, right? And some of the most complicated chapters on human history have been written by people following uh, uh, people that were not necessarily spiritually mature, right? You might look mature, but you might not be mature. And that's something we know in dealing with our families, our friends, our community, right? Probably, hopefully, you have had the teaching experience where you think you know someone, you think someone is a certain way, and then you start living with them, interacting, doing something uh, with them, and you realize that they were different. They are not that, because they have limitations, they have their own problems, their own shortfalls, and all those things. This is a major, very important experience in life, and mature people understand that better than immature people. Immature people get all this hard because you don't learn that. You always project what you want people to be, right? If we project what we want people to be on them, what's going to happen? And this is true, by the way, in any area, in all sorts of, this is a general approach to life, right? Every time we project something, we want people to be the way a certain way, it's a recipe for pain and suffering, because chances are they are not, whoever I'm bringing into my life with that expectation won't live up to that, because that's not their goal. That's not who they are, right? So we should understand uh, uh, people the way they are, learn by experience, by interacting with them, and then accept them and deal with them the way they are. That's maturity, by the way. That's the difference between a mature and an immature soul, right? A mature soul deals with the situation the way it is, right? An immature always projects, always creates the ideal situations, or expects for those, and gets hurt time after time after time after time until matures. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to raise this awareness. This is what spirituality does: raising the awareness, bringing maturity. So we're dealing with people the way they are, and that's why when it brought to this teachings of spirituality, these teachings of religion, this can be very complicated, because sometimes we have immature spirits leading, spiritual movements, right? They may look mature, but when you live with them, when you start interacting, you see that that some of their imperfections, although they might have great things, and most people, you seldom, I think you're never going to find somebody that has no good things about them. Everybody, even the most um, criminal or mind hateful individual, right, has a seed of God, and there's something good in all of us, right? You find it, right? It's just that they don't nurture it. They, those that chose to be hateful, they don't nurture that part. They just, suppress it. But we all have it. And to a certain degree, even if you try to be, you're already in your path to become better, right? If you carry still some imperfections with you, because that's the stage we are on earth, right? And that's the warning that pretty much Kardec's given us in the spirits, what in this chapter, and what Jesus alerted us, the prophets alerted us in the past, is exactly that, right? Don't follow, right, someone blindly. So follow, but with the education, with mindset, with understanding, with reasoning, right? And always reason first. And this is, to me, what fascinates specifically myself, what touches me so deeply in this teaching, in this movement, which is the Spiritism, right? Kardec emphasized so much the need for our own growth, for our own education, so we make better choices, so we are part of community, a rational part of our community. And if we believe in something, we at least know why we believe. So we don't follow individuals. So we don't have, actually, in fact, if you check the Spirit's book, the only spirit that you could follow is Jesus himself, because of his but he's no longer in the flesh, right? So it probably won't be anymore. And so we have to follow his ideal, and follow him in the spirit, right? All of us, we face those challenges. All of us, we have those imperfections. So now, specifically now, at the time we're living right now, we're talking right now, is 2021, right? We are living in a completely different world than all the previous generations of humans that ever existed on Earth, right? Because right now we have an overwhelming availability of information. We have everything right now at our fingertips. If you sit down, if you can access a computer, if you have skills to deal with a digital device, like, you have access to all the information possible. So now is that time where we are invited greatly in speech, I mean, in a very urgent manner, by spirituality, by our lives, to inform ourselves, to become our own prophets, in a sense, where we can develop our rational thinking. This is where Kardec, when it comes to the teachings, to the major teachings, he added a little thing. So when he say, when Jesus come, the major teaching of the gospel is love thy neighbor as yourself, right? Of God above all things, and your neighbor as yourself. And Kardec added now, for this time, was in educate, love one another, but educate yourself as well. It's a crucial time right now for us to be open-minded and bring a lot of knowledge to our soul, to our spirits, right? Because that's not going to be lost, right? And infuse ourselves into this understanding and develop the strength, the rational strength, right, inside of us. It's the time now, it's in a very crucial time of our civilization, where the prophets, in a sense, that those that will guide us have come already. Right now, it's the time for every single one of us to take up the responsibility of our own spiritual growth and dive on it, and read the gospel, and understand the teachings, compare, see what makes sense, what doesn't, right? Why we follow, why we understand, why I believe in God, why, and create rational models in our own mind. That's the great inspiration of this chapter. If you follow other people blindly, chances are the same mistakes of the past will happen again because you're going to follow someone with some flaws. And depending on the flaws, depending on how complicated they might lead us to again the old revisit to the hate, separation, destruction, because a single flaw in a leader can actually lead a whole community astray, right? And if you just go back in history and check every single one of those, you'll see those. So now is the time. Now is especially the time for us, for every single one of us, to take up our own spiritual growth in our own hands, right? And that's the inspiration come here to us. That's the core of the teachings right now. Don't blame is even in a sense actually don't blame who those you follow. And if now it's time for us to bring that teaching, to bring that knowledge to our own heart, our own mind. Is that easy? No. We'll have to work harder. It gives us more work to do, right? And that's why this is not necessarily popular. It's much easier to follow someone, right? Um, but unfortunately, our spiritual growth doesn't come with without work, without this preparation, without this putting effort. And that's exactly the invitation right now. The invitation of Spiritism, especially our movement, is exactly that: is to create human beings to raise the awareness of spirituality in every single one of us. So all the information is available. It's one of the things that actually fascinates about Spiritism, about our movement. All the teachings are written books. There's all the teachings are available to you. There's not a single piece of the teachings that is hidden, that's secret, or it has to be, or for initiated on. Everything is codified in books. There's just from Francisco Canto de Xavier, one of the mediums. He published through psychography more than 400 books with all sorts of teachings about spirituality, about spirits, the spiritual realm, what happens after we pass away, experiences, what they tell us, what's important, what's not, and what's the metric, how much we have access to that. Well, it depends on our will to just dive in and absorb the knowledge, right? Read those books, get information, listen to them, whatever works for you, whatever works for us. So that's the core of this movement, and that's why I'm part of it. I'm so fascinated, right? And that's why I feel comfortable coming here to you and saying all these things, because I know we are together. We don't have anymore this the figure of the prophet. At this point in time, because of the world we're living in, the information is available to every single one of us. So it's the time for the rational growth, for the understanding, for the expansion of ideas, right? For learning. And Kardec even codified that in the Spirit's book, was saying that it's worth learning everything. Nothing is outside of the scope. You can learn anything. All sorts of knowledges will bring you some information, some useful thoughts, even those that might be mistaken, because they help us um, find the north and develop the thinking skills, so we can become spiritually stronger. And how important an investment it is for us, from our perspective, how important an investment it is, our own souls, our own minds, everything. First, because we don't die, so any effort we put in our own growth is going to stay with us. It's a treasure that doesn't go away, compared to anything material that we accumulate that might stay behind. So the nurturing of our souls, of our mind, of our spirits, is probably one of the most important things we can do. And if we nurture, and that's a suggestion: nurture with the gospel, nurture with the teachings of Jesus. Have that as your north right now. And 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 that's the probably, as far as we can understand, the fastest, most efficient path to spiritual growth. That's what the gospel is. The gospel is just the highway, the freeway to spiritual growth. You're going to grow anyway, right? Even if you take different, I mean, God loves every single one of us. It will grow, right? Even if we take paths that will lead us different ways, right? But what the gospel is supposed to be is just a freeway, a direct path of spiritual growth. right? So that's it, right? That's why we talk so much about this. We don't have any more time, but we're gonna be talking. Hopefully, we get a chance to talk more about details about the spiritual world itself and the practicalities of being a spirit in dealing with spirits. But we actually ran out of time for today. And with that in mind, let's prepare ourselves to move to our meditation and our healing, our energy moment, right? Give me just a second. Hopefully you found a comfortable position, comfortable place right now. So we can make this inner voyage. As we come down, let's allow ourselves to be present in this moment. Just allow ourselves to be in the moment. Breathe in, breathe out. Sometimes just paying attention to our breathing help us make the trip, make this voyage to our inner world, to this inner universe we all have. The place where our lives manifest. And this is a special Sunday. Let's elevate our thoughts. And seek this divine light that has guided us for so long. In this moment, allow this projection of light that I can see coming to visit me. And in this moment, I feel comfortable. Because I visualize this connection, this light coming from Jesus himself. He was a humble one that despite all He has done to us that we don't even fully understand yet, came to serve, to give an example, and to be part of every single human beings of earth, life, regardless of anything else, of religion, of belief, of race, of place, doesn't matter. His loving presence will manifest to you according to your own beliefs. You see this presence of this light, the presence of this light through your own lenses. But one thing won't change, is that the presence of the light of this spirit, of this incredibly unimaginable soul, permeates the life of every single one of us, the living beings of earth, our home in this universe, created by God out of love. And in this moment, I just allow this presence, this energy to flow and visit me for a few moments, maybe, and from head to toe, I feel the embrace, I feel the presence, and I am thankful. Even if I don't understand, it doesn't matter. In this moment, I just allow gratitude to take place in my inner universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, Divine Creator, for all that has been given to us. Thank you for this moment of healing, of presence. Thank you very much. And with all that in mind, we now come to the moment where we prepare ourselves for our closing prayer this morning.
With our hearts full of gratitude, we thank Jesus and all his workers of life that comes to us to rescue us, to help us to understand his gospel, that help us to guide us to take the right path to our own spiritual evolution, even though we are so stubborn most of the time and immature. We're very grateful for Jesus and all his teachings of his gospel and all his guidance and light that he gave us tireless for since this planet exists. May we this week do our part to connect with Jesus' teachings. Read the gospel a little bit every day so we can connect with his wisdom in learning step by step how to follow his examples, being an example ourselves. May Jesus bless all of us. Thank you. So be it.
Thank you, Edimana. Thank you very much for the words. And thank you, everybody, for being with us this morning. We hope you have a great rest of your Easter Sunday, and hope you have a great week ahead of you. Stay safe.